Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Hey, there's a whole lot of news. But first of all, man, Michael Rudnan says he's away and see you tomorrow. We have brother Roberto Davenport in the house. Robert Davenport II is in the house. He says, greetings, progressives. By the way, where's everybody? Are we asleep? Are we asleep? It's 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock p.m., folks. Bridge MCP is in the house. She says no FB notification for me. No wonder. I wonder what happened. You know how these things, you know how they treat progressives now? You know that? Yvette Avery Herod is in the house. Yvette, did you get a notification or you didn't get a notification? I'd be interested to know if you have the ability to tell me I got a notification or I didn't. Bruce Pollard says, I am here. Bruce, brother Bruce, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Our fund drive starts at KPFT tomorrow, Bruce. So that's where we're going to see if we are going to raise that $150,000 for KPFT when we're doing it on air at KPFT. Anyhow, Yvette says, I have an alarm set on my phone. I love you, girl. Yvette has the alarm set. Everybody put that alarm, please, please, please. Don't leave me lonely. Don't keep me alone. 1 p.m. at the best coast. Well, Brother Davenport, you earned the right to say at the best coast. And our beautiful, wonderful Alistair Waters is in the house. Hi, Alistair. How are you doing today? Great to see you here. Lee Grant says, hey, progressives. To which I say to Lee, hi, brother. How are you doing? I knew it was because I was on YouTube and saw Yvette's comment. Hey. Anyhow, great, folks. Look, great to have you here. We're going to have a great show for you today, but I want to start. Alistair says only notification came from Twitter. Madre mía, ¿qué está pasando con esta gente que no están mandando mis notificaciones? What's wrong with these folks that they're not sending my notifications? I don't know what's going on, folks. Are you trying to not have people watch the show? Luckily, we have an automated system here as well. When I remember to program the right hashtag inside of our messages, it automatically sends out emails to all our folks. And, you know, most people, of course, they see the email and they say, okay, I'll check that email out later. But we also have a direct link to the program there. Okay. What are we going to start with today? We have 4 subjects to talk about today, 4 very important subjects. Primeramente, we have failure to engage Latinos long before elections open the door to Republicans. That says polls show it. Herschel Walker's son, Christian Walker, destroys him and calls out family values conservatives. 158,000 cost for ALS treatment, called a poster child for unjust drug pricing. I'm going to leave that one for last. That one is going to be last. As Fed pushes to get wages down, studies show CEO pay has soared by 1,460%. Are you mad yet? Are you going to listen to them when they're trying to tell us that we need to somehow have inflation and increase interest rates so that we can keep the market from being so hot? But somehow it is okay to keep the market hot for these CEOs? Don't you find that obscene? I do. Please tell me if you do or don't. Bridge says, Alistair Waters says, only notification came from Twitter. Bridge MCP says, hey, Robert Davenport. And Alistair Waters says, I'm a stickler for a schedule, so I remember the time for both shows. Thank you, my dear beautiful. Beautiful British MCP says, I remember the time just like FB notifications because that link works better than when on his page. Okay. In what do our preciosa, let's see, who is it that said, oh, la hermosa, I should say la hermosa Yvette Avery is the one who said, I have an alarm on my phone. So we need to follow la más preciosa hermosa Yvette and put it on your phones, right? And then we'll be here all on time so that I don't have to take some time up trying to get some more folks in before we start the major part of the subject. But anyhow, today, Justice Keaton Brown Jackson tangled with Alabama Solicitor General in a case challenging Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which bars racial discrimination in voting policies. 2022-1004, Merrill Milligan docket. Thank you for giving that link, E2247. Welcome, E2247. I don't think I saluted you, so welcome aboard. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to get started. We're going to get started with the gossip first. What do you say we do that? We get started with the gossip, and then we go into some serious stuff. But hello, Melanie Keelan. Welcome aboard. She says, hello, everybody. Good evening. I want to start with the guy. I had to put this one on just to illustrate the hypocrisy. Okay? So for those of you who are going to say, Egberto, why are you doing that? It's just because we need to show the grandiose hypocrisy. Check this out. This one should be big. Herschel Walker's son, Christian Walker, comes out and he not only annihilates his father, but he puts the conservative movement is checked. That's your family values, guys. I want you to check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I stayed silent as the atrocities committed against my mom were downplayed. I stayed silent when it came out that my father, Herschel Walker, had all these random kids across the country, none of whom he raised. And you know my favorite issue to talk about is father absence. Surprise, because it affected me. That's why I talk about it all the time, because it affected me. Family values, people. He has 4 kids, 4 different women, wasn't in the house raising one of them. He was out having sex with other women. Do you care about family values? I was silent, lie after lie after lie. The abortion card drops yesterday. It's literally his handwriting in the card. They say they have receipts, whatever. He gets on Twitter. He lies about it. Okay, I'm done. Done. Everything has been a lie. And so for the right to say I'm being suspicious for saying, hey, I'm done with the lies, when you all have been calling me saying, is this true about your dad? Gosh, we're not going to win Georgia, this candidate, all that's been you. You have no idea what I've been through in my life. You have no idea what me and my mom have survived. We could have ended this on day 1. We haven't. I haven't told any stories. I'm just saying, don't lie. Don't lie on my mom. Don't lie on me. Don't lie on the lives you've destroyed and act like you're some moral family man. Y'all should care about that, conservatives. And then for people on the left to act as though I'm responsible for all of the things that he has done. I've talked about father absence. I've talked all these issues because they've been close to me, because they matter to me, because I went through it. That's why I've talked about it. So when you say, well, talk about your dad, I'm saying this behavior is atrocious. Don't come for me. You don't have to like my politics. You don't have to like me. You don't have to. I'm just saying I'm done with the lies. We were told at the beginning of this, he was going to get ahead of his past, hold himself accountable, all of these different things, and that would have been fine. Go ahead. He didn't do any of that. Everything's been a lie. Everything's been downplayed. Everything's been cutting corners. The whole thing. And whose expense is that at? Me, my mom, as we're chased down by the media.
Now tell me, what gives? You know, a lot of folks are saying, well, you know, the guy comes out and he said, hey, 4 kids, 4 different baby mamas and all of that. And, you know, is that what your family values are? The reality is, folks, for the generic MAGA Republican, it doesn't matter. Remember, Donald Trump has 3 or 4 baby mamas too. Donald Trump also just relegated his kids for others to take care of. Remember, Herschel Walker is just Donald Trump in a different hue. Let's see, they stuck with Donald Trump. Will they stick with Herschel Walker? I mean, actually, you know, their family values are quite different from what all of us have defined as family values. So here's what I have to say. For all of those who are thinking this is a knockout punch for Herschel Walker, somehow he now cannot beat Warnock. Please, folks, don't just buy it that simply. Go out and vote and make sure we elect the progressives we need to elect. Because remember, that guy, the MAGA has their base and they are coming out. Remember that the MAGA has their base and they're coming out. And remember that hypocrisy is just outstanding. I mean, we knew it because, Donald Trump said he could grab a woman by all her private parts and still, he got elected. Everybody thought it was the end of the world. He was never going to be elected, but he got elected. They don't care. It's never, the family values thing is not real because they don't value families. They don't believe in family leave. They don't believe in family values. They don't believe in health care for all. They don't believe in all the things that make families strong. They don't believe in a living wage. They don't believe in all these policies that are designed to strengthen families, that are designed to make families education. Let's say pay it forward education for all students. Why not? Jeff Bezos has so much money that he didn't earn. Why not? Let's not let the rhetoric get to us, and it's time for us to call it out. Like I forgot I was supposed to do a piece with Beto and what Beto said in the debate, and I forgot to process it into an MP4, and this particular application won't do MPEGs, so I'll have to show you tomorrow. But again, remember, Republicans vote for Republicans because they deep inside they think, oh yeah, we are family values, and what Donald Trump has done is shifted what family values really looks like. It's no longer about valuing your family. It's about valuing your party. It's about valuing capital. It's about valuing money. Family is just a moniker. Nothing more. Nada más. So Herschel Walker is true to form. Herschel Walker is true to form. He is no different than the man we elected. That the man, the Electoral College, not the American people, that the Electoral College elected in 2020. Both of them love to do things that are very anti-family, but somehow market themselves as family values. Okay, what else we got here? Eric Hayes says, Robert Davenport says, all lies, of course. He is a MAGA candidate. All lies all the time. Exactamundo. Eric Hayes says, the smartest thing I have ever seen come out of California, a partnership between the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. You're talking about that. Well, let me tell you something. I'm not going to read that because that makes no sense. Let me tell you what makes sense, okay? You're saying the only thing that came out of California that makes sense, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory that puts satellites all over the interplanetary system. By the way, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory used to buy my software, but anyhow, you are going to tell, it is so funny. There's so much that comes out of California. California is the bellwether many times of this country. What happens in California eventually spreads all over. So it's kind of not following what occurs in history to say something like that. Eric Hayes says, this is what national security policy looked like. Oh, because Sweden went ahead and put armed guards next to each of their oil facilities, etc. Would you like us to do that? Do we have a threat? I mean, if you really wanted to start that, you wouldn't have put all the darn refineries in Pasadena and all these areas in Texas that are very vulnerable, right? We can't protect that at all. We just have to protect that not at the plant, but all over. Put in a few security guards at the plant. That's not going to do it. Again, that's 18th century, 19th century thinking. It's intelligence that does the job right now. All right, let's see what else we got here. Marek said the GMC. Hey, Eric, you're filling me up, but you're the guy. The GMC Hummer, priced at $86,645, is a green vehicle and can be charged at home. A home typically has 120-volt charging current, level 1, available, which means it takes 4 until the Hummer is fully charged. A level 11 charger is available to upgrade home charging, required special equipment and installation. This would reduce the time to 24 hours to reach roughly 100% charge. An electrified America charging station costs $100 to fill up. The Hummer at 43 cents per kilowatt hour. Critics say this strong evidence that electric trucks are not Lord. Instead of trying to figure out why electric cars are not the answer, you should try to figure out why they must be the answer. Because fossil fuels are not ever going to be a solution going forward. And for all the troglodytes that want to remain that way, unfortunately, that is what's going to continue. The troglodytification of a small percentage of Americans who refuse to see the reality of where we are. British MCP says, it's one thing for someone to run around and lie. It's another as a candidate to do it and lie. But that's what they do, which is exactly right. Peggy Lopez, welcome to the show, my beautiful Peggy. Let's see, Lee Grant, or our handsome Lee Grant says, so is the left so desperate that they will try to paint all Republicans with the Herschel Walker brush? You mean as Republicans try to paint Democrats with you're socialist? Actually, they really try to make Democrats into communists where all means of production are controlled by the state. No, that's not what democratic socialists want at all. That's what you guys would like to scare your people into believing, but not because you say it, make it so. Our problem on the progressive side, on the democratic side, on whatever side that is in for families, that are in to make things equitable, our problem is that we are not as good communicators as you are as lying communicators. And I'm not talking about you specifically, Grant, because you're just regurgitating much of what the right wing has instituted as false policy. But again, we are not as good marketers because we like to be fairly accurate, and things that are fairly accurate are not generally but kind of boring. It does the job, but it's boring. All right, Egberto, the left attacks family as nuclear group. I think I remember a group touting that in the 2020. Oh, the nuclear family? No, the nuclear family. The reason the nuclear family is, the theory of the nuclear family by some groups have been hit is as follows. The nuclear family in America was one mother, one father, and kids. Nuclear family, all right? But as we had a system that instead of being good to folk, elevating folk, rehabilitating folk, we had certain groups in this country that were just thrown away, thrown into jail. There was a time a high percentage of POC dads are in jail, right? So, just defining the nuclear family as that great thing, when we have a lot of mothers, and by the way, mothers of all ethnic groups or whatever alone, because men have really been derelict in their duty more so than ever. Women taking care of kids and doing a darn good job of it. And to try to not make that a nuclear family because it is quite very nuclear, definition of nuclear, that has been a very good nuclear family. That is what they're talking about, sir. It's not a demeaning of a mother, father, and children. It's saying that a nuclear family can be one mother, several children. A nuclear family can be a mother, a grandmother, several children. A nuclear family can be two women raising several children. A nuclear family can be two women just living alone. A nuclear family can be two men raising children or living alone. All of those constitutes nuclear moral families if they're doing good by society and doing good by kids. And by the way, I never want to come across as some goody two-shoe, as someone that's always thinking, I suffered the same disease of prejudice and more when it comes to gays, when it comes to being sexist. I've gone through my tribulations there long time ago. Just let me tell you that I've changed a long time ago. But I've fulfilled the goal, and to many I have also atoned. So when I'm trying to tell you guys who continue to just say, a nuclear family can't be two women raising kids, or two men raising kids, or any combination thereof, or trans or whatever, it's not too late to change mentally, which eventually would change carnally. Think about it. Please, think about it. Think about it. Believe me, a hard-headed guy like me who knew all these things, if I could change, if I could learn to be empathetic, if I could learn to be all those things, we all can learn to be that way. And so that's where it came. Now, Lee Grant says the left has presided over the destruction of the black family, but they don't like to look at that. Unfortunately, to some extent, Lee Grant is right about that. Many of the policies on the left side of the aisle also had a racist streak within it. So, Lee Grant, you're not wrong at all. The only thing you're wrong about is to come to to believe that somehow the people on the right had any better intentions for the black family or any POC family. They didn't. Our economic policies have always run through the line of hue, from redlining to many other things, okay? The fact is, however, now, that the side that is trying to do good for all families is the left side of the aisle. But that doesn't take away from your correctness that early in the 70s, the policies ensured that black men, for women getting welfare because of income issues, they had to leave the homes. You are right, Brother Grant. And those policies were actually instituted by whom? You know whom. The people mostly on the left. And yes, it has always been that we want to minimize what those others get. So, sir, can't argue with you on that one. But I think to many times we're trying, the left side, they're trying to make amends. The right side has no desire. Okay, Peggy Lopez, Trump is about value in self. Breach MCP says, no, Lee, it's about him. And the leader Trump was a bad. So it says to people, it's okay. Men will be men. Not true. Right. I wouldn't do the things that Herschel Walker or Donald Trump does, and I am fully man. I love women. But I would always keep the dignity of women. Always. Always. Always, always. Let's see. Eric Hayes says, no, not sure on that. I think Orange Man has a strong family and Walker is a real world example of what is happening. You see how I want you to see how Eric mind works. He is able to try to fit things in a false reality into. He calls Donald Trump's family a strong family. I suggest you talk to Mary Trump of what happens on the inside behind closed doors. Okay? Because you can also see, when you see the affection, look, I love my daughter. Brother Reynolds loves his daughter. And I'm just naming people that I know, okay? I'm just naming people that I know. I know all of you like to love your kids, whatever. I see Brother Bruce in here. Brother Bruce loves his daughter. And the reason I mentioned those three folks in here, I have seen their interaction with their daughters. And there's that special interaction, right? That's not what you see with Donald Trump. That's not even the talk you hear from Donald Trump. And Herschel Walker by no means is the norm. I know all the men that I hang around, black, white, Latino, whatever. None of the folks that I hang around, none of the folks I know have Herschel Walker behaviors. I'm not calling any of these guys saints. I'm just saying we don't do that to our children and we don't do that to women. We don't do that to our children. I'm talking about men now, so I'm not trying to be sexist or anything. Or we don't do that to women. So, Eric, you're absolutely wrong. Bruce Pollard says, fresh food from California. Yes. Thank you, Bruce. California is our vegetable basket, along with areas in the desert that have been liquefied, right? John Cotter says EVs are the future. They are such nicer to drive and don't smell gas station. No smelly gas station stuff. So right. Lee Grant says keep an eye out for DeSantis and Biden having a bromance over Eon. We'll see. Robert Davenport says the new electric Corvette will smash performance and sales records. The future is coming, like it or not. I love it. And yeah, but there's one thing that he has that we have to talk about, and that is we have to strengthen the grid. Because when you start putting all these cars on the grid, it will create a strain on the grid because it was not designed to be the fossil fuel replacement as yet. So we have a lot of work to do, but you have to start somewhere. So Eric is right about that part where, but again, we have to grow. Let's see what else we have here. Eric says, Bridge MCP, I'm not running around with several kids that have absent parents. No, I actually, don't buy the what you see on TV. If you look on TV and certain percentages, I mean, if you go into Appalachia, you see the same things, right? Poverty correlates very well with fatherless kids. And it's not fatherless kids, it's fathers where the kids are not home often. But you know what else causes parents not being home often? Having to work for a less than a living wage and thus having to work more hours. And that's why we say, in general, Republican policy cares nothing about humanity or families. Remember that. Norman Reynolds says, Estoy aquí también. I had a great visit. Norman came all the way over to Kingwood today to give me a visit that I think I needed to kind of straighten my mind out to. And it was great having my slightly older brother here with me today. We had some fun. Of course, he's going to be off doing his stuff tomorrow as well. But hey, bro, thank you very much for being here. Great chat. Even though you made me about an hour late for my show, getting ready for my show. Nah, I love you, man. I am just teasing you because I know you're going to hear that and you're going to start second guessing. No, I know that, brother. I love talking to my brother. Love having him here today. E2247 says, yesterday, Fulton County Superior Court Judge McBurney overseeing the special grand jury in an order sealing any search warrants and related documents from being made public. Continues below. Nuclear family is wrote that DA Fannie Willis is now seeking to obtain and execute a series of search warrants, the affidavits of which are predicated on sensitive information acquired during the investigation. Thank you for that, E2247. Lee Grant says nuclear family is a fundamental biological imperative. The left misses this. That is not true at all. The nuclear family about being a man and a woman solely, somehow being some defies kids that have grown up under two women or kids that have grown up under two men and kids that have grown up through a man and a woman. They've all come out actually because if you take a look at the wellness of kids, I think you'll find kids that grow up under two mothers and two fathers, their degree of wellness so often supersedes that. And I think it's because these people have to work so hard at it in a very prejudiced society. So no, you're wrong about that, Lee Grant. Forget about those psychologists that are triggered by religion, etc., etc. Bruce Pollard says, we are all going to be nuclear families if Putin gets his way. Bruce, we're not talking about nuclear bombs. We're talking about nuclear as in central, sir. I know you know that. You're just making fun. Deeper trouble for Georgia for number 45. Is there something new that I haven't seen yet? Egberto Willis families do not have to be related to be a family. Bridge, thank you for making that correction as well. I'm so glad you brought that up. And that is why we have this great stuff. Interaction, being corrected. Nuclear family, also called elementary family in sociology and anthropology, a group of people who unite by ties of partnership and parenthood and consisting of a pair of adults and their socially recognized children. Typically, but not always, the adults in a nuclear family are married, although such couples are most often a man and a woman. The definition of the nuclear family as expanded With the advent of same-sex marriage, children in a nuclear family may be couples' biological or adopted offsprings. Thank you for that. Bruce says they're under investigation for cheating the state of New York out of tax monies. Not a good family. Thank you, Bruce. Remember that, they are thieves. That's all. They're thieves. They are ladrones. Roban mucho. That means they're thieves and they rob a lot. Let's see what else we got from Charlie Lindahl. Ford Lightning F-150 EV will blow away all records when the production ramps up. And I know you're going to buy one, Charlie. 40K list last time I checked before rebates. Wow, I may be able to get me a Ford pickup, man. If I can actually sell some books, So folks, go buy my books, please, so I can get me a car so I can run to KPFT and help move the boxes. Charlie Lindahl again, I'm not a truck person. I do Prius, but I'm tempted. Again, for the electric on the truck, I would be tempted to, but I wouldn't buy a truck. I would probably buy a car. I like small cars. John Cotter says that 40K for the F-150 is entry level. Unfortunately, the average price will be north of 70K. I have reservation for one. Yikes! Really? I guess I would have to settle for the entry level. Eric K says bonding problems causing debts in Baton Rouge and Harris County due to judges. You can't get off of that, right? Ask your Texas legislature to stop giving guns a la free to everybody. And that's what, look, Democrats, let me tell you something. The crime problem is not your problem. Doesn't matter what Brother Eric Hayes here says. It doesn't matter that he wants to blame the bail, judges given bail based on laws written in Austin. It doesn't matter that, right? Remember, if Governor Abbott wants Harris County to stop giving out bail following the law, he can change the law. He won't. You know why? Because while they're talking up against bail, they actually want bail. You know why? Because guess who supports them? Bail bondspersons. And bail bondsperson need there to be bail so that they can take 10% of your monies. I mean, it is, it's amazing the level of lying that Republicans would do. They are what the bail bondsmen support them more than anyone else. You know why? Because they know the laws won't change that forces judges to give bail. But they won't tell you that. They'll just say, "Oh, this person was released on." You know what happened? What happened is the Democrats allowed the Republicans to hold on to that message first. But it's not too late. Democrats can go out and say the bail policies are instituted by laws written in Austin. Punto y final. Also, the reason gun violence in Texas has increased is because Governor Abbott and the Republican cabal has released guns ad nauseum into our cities, into our towns, into our farms. Tell the truth. That's all you have to do, Democrats. The Republicans have done I'm talking Republican politicians. They have done a great job in being horrendous legislators and great provider of cash to corporations who hurt us all. That's all you got to tell Americans. And prove it. That's it. That's it. All right. Peggy Lopez says, are kids who have grown up under combined, non-legally connected families true? Bruce says, conservative politics have disrupted wealth, mental health, the environment, and helped destroy families continually. Yes. Bree says, children who grow up with the same-sex partners have a better outlook on life. Studies have proven this. True. Replying, God made Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve. That sounds very triglyditic, my friend. You sound like how I would have sounded when I was 22 years and was a sexist and a homophobe. Lee Grant, stick with the program. Stick with us. Let's grow together. Let's grow together. John Carter, get me a rest when then get me one. Oh, wow. She wants you to buy her one. Biggest threat today, the mega drought in China that's destabilizing entire current Chinese socioeconomic. We don't talk a lot about that. I saw that on a documentary. You're right. Norman Reynolds says cash bonding for bail is a ploy against poor families. Yeah, because the prison industrial complex can keep all the people who don't have bail and charge the state for all the food and reservations that they have in the jail. And those who have money can give their 10% to the bail bonds, who support whom again? That's right, the Republican politicians. All right. John Carter says the bail bond companies are the reason for much of the crime in Harris County. Thank you. David Page, great point about Governor Abbott not moving against bail bondsmen. Exactly, David Page. By the way, welcome to the program, David Page. Welcome to the program, John Carter. And welcome to the program, Norman Reynolds. And if I miss somebody else, forget Charlie Lindahl. Welcome to the program. Lee Grant says, I try to seek the truth bridge, but I don't know the mind of God. You sure, the evangelicals sure sound like they do. Their stance on not only contraception, but on abortion seems that way. Good afternoon, everyone. Caught me during a meal and my battery drained. Well, you know what time it is? It is time for us to go ahead and play our video on why are Latinos drifting towards Republican. Is it real? The answer is, sí, señor. It's real. And let's go ahead and play that ahorita mismo. Oh my God. The Democratic Party is freaking out. Not really. But the Latino voters associated with Democrats are fallen. Several polls are saying that. And the truth is, I believe those polls. And there are reasons why this is occurring. First of all, Latinos are not a monolith. Secondly, there are some very good symbiotic theories or relationships that a normal, regular Latino has in common with some of the purported conservative values. But it's many other things that have really prevented them from being Republicans. I want you to listen to this, to Maria Teresa Kumar with Chris Hayes, because it says much, and it's something that I suggest that Democrats listen to keenly, because it is one thing that's going to come back and bite them in the butt. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
The one demographic that has traditionally favored Democrats is showing some movement away from the Democrats towards Republicans. We got a new poll from NBC News and Telemundo that oversamples Latino voters, so you can draw better conclusions than the normal crosstabs in this kind of polling. And although a majority of Latino voters prefer Democrats to Republicans for the midterms, 54-33, which is a pretty big advantage, that Democratic advantage is not as large as it once was. Back in 2012, 10 years ago, for instance, Latino voters preferred Democrats over Republicans by a 40-point margin, meaning that margin has been cut in half over 10 years. And you can kind of see those trend lines there, those two numbers converging. Joining me now to digest what's driving those numbers, Maria Teresa Kumar, President and CEO of the political organization Voto Latina. You know, polling data can be unreliable. Are you convinced by that data? Do you think that's an accurate reflection of what's going on? What we have found at Voto Latino in extensive data, and just as you mentioned, Gallup did data that found very similar findings to ours. It wasn't that Latinos were deflecting to the Republican Party, is that they couldn't tell the difference between the two parties. So a full third of them are thinking of sitting out. And if you dig into Telemundo data, it basically says that a whole third of them are thinking that they're going to sit it out because they can't tell the difference between the two parties. And so one of the things that Voto Latino did was, for the very first time, RC4 did persuasion work. If we were able to explain to the Latino voter what the Democrats did in the short 18 months that Biden has been in that office, would you see a difference? Get this. Of the people that saw our ad, just one ad, compared to the placebo, it was a 14% lift. And what that tells us, Chris, is that the Democrats are not communicating. And that was our finding. Now, if you look at a sister organization, Naleo, they found that just up to 3 weeks ago, 51% of registered Latino voters have not received any contact from a political party or candidate. 51%. And when you're talking about
Latinos, where the concentration will determine the Senate and the House, when you're looking at the concentration in Georgia and even in North Carolina, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Nevada, and even a state like Texas, you could come to the conclusion that the Democratic Party really needs to double down and do extra work. And donors have to better understand what is happening at the grassroots level. People have to be far more curious about Latinos. I can tell you that even in a place like Texas, we found a poll after the adopt decision, and we found that 68% of Latino voters, including men, believed that abortion was a private issue between a woman and her doctor, not the government's business. 81% believed in some sort of gun reform, including assault ban weapons. So we need to have more curiosity and not talk to Latinos 18 days out when all of a sudden they figure out that that's when they need to talk to them. The only thing that I would encourage folks to do when they look at the polls, and this is what we're finding, the moment that you add MAGA Republican versus a Democrat in the Latino community, that immediately creates a deflection. People understand what MAGA means to their homes personally. It means not just their economy, but their personal safety. And so a place like Arizona, the reason that Mark Kelly is doing strongly is specifically because of the MAGA Republicans that were around before they had that coinage, so to speak. The same is what we're starting to see in Nevada. It's going to be a little harder in Pennsylvania because there hasn't been enough outreach there, but it's going to be close.
There's a sort of question, right, about how much of what we've seen in these diminishing margins are failures of the Democratic Party in outreach, which I've reported on.
We are not a monolith, but I would encourage the folks to think about Latinos as not a monolith, more around generational lines and where they're growing up. To give you an idea, Florida is the only state where young Latino voters will never surpass their older voters ever, just because of the demographics. Right. But in a state like Georgia, young voters are 30% of the Latino vote, 30%. And they represent 20% of the classrooms. So you're just going to have a whole bunch of young Latinos in Georgia graduating into electoral politics. I don't need to convince that young person that climate change is real. I just need to convince politicians are actually going to meet them where they are. The same thing in Arizona. In Arizona, they're 40% of the classrooms. In Texas, they're 52% of the classrooms.
So therefore, she said it all. Latinos are not a monolith. You have to cater your message to the particular Latinos that you're speaking to. A Mexican Latino is way different than a Cuban Latino, is way different than a Panamanian Latino, way different than a Dominican Latino or Puerto Rican Latino. So therefore, when you're speaking to these folks, you have to speak to what interests them. Panama, Central American country, Dominican Republic, and island, Mexico, a big part of North America. I mean, they have different interests altogether. It's not because we all speak Spanish that somehow you should just put a commercial in Spanish and it talks to us, right? Mexicans have a particular thing that they're the ones that are crossing the border. Maybe it has a lot to do with migrant workers, folks that are coming from Venezuela. They're running for what they consider an oppressive regime. Folks that are coming from Brazil are coming from what they think is a right-wing crazy government. Folks that are coming from Puerto Rico maybe jump into the island because America has left the island behind. There are a lot of different interests that Latinos have that need to be taken into account. And until we start treating the Latino demographic like we treat other demographics in majority communities, where we select the message based on class and many other things, that change that you see with Latinos drifting, and note what I said, it's drift. It's a drift. Just as it can drift one way, it can drift the other way. And that needs to be taken into account. It has a lot to do with respect. It has a lot to do with taking interest in that which you want or on whom you want the vote from. Absolutamente right. Okay, let's see what we got here from more peeps. All right, John Cotter said bail bond companies are the reason that much of the crime. Yes, I think I read that one already. And going down, Bree says, God made me. Adam and Eve is a story written by a man. Did God make a mistake making a gay person, or did she make us to test your love? The truth of the matter is I can't answer any of those questions. All I know is I've seen gay dogs and gay everything as well, and I've just been noticing some of these things now that I'm an adult and I'm informed, right? Okay. Maywood says, good. No, I think I read that one already. David Page, I'm old fan of this program. Hee hee. Well, David Page, thank you for being a good old fan of the program. Remember now, we are also doing KPFT tomorrow at noon. We do KPFT Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon Central Time, And that show is a fully call-in show, 713-526-5738 when I'm doing it. And I'll try to keep that on the screen so that people who are watching here can say, I want to listen. I want to call in and give Egberto a piece of my mind. And you just give me a call and go there. All right, let's see. So Paige, don't forget, we're doing 10 shows a week. That is on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do 2 shows. On Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and on Tuesday, Thursday, we do 2 shows. And on Saturday, Sunday, we choose from one of those 8 shows to put on, from 2 of those 8 shows to put on Saturdays and Sundays. So we can have politics done right for 1 hour or 2 hours every day. So, that's what it's all about. Anyway, folks, let's see. Before I go into the talking, it's time to ask for our ask. And here we go, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Politics done right depends on you to keep doing what we do. What do? We make sure to keep, number one, the internet seeded with blogs and information to counter the right and to present what progressives represent for the benefit of us all to everybody so that it's not misled by any other entity. We make sure and populate that internet with blogs, with videos, with all these other things to make sure that we are informed and to counter everything that you normally hear that are lying at the right. We also make sure to create articles in magazines, articles in newspapers, all around the country to ensure, again, that our message gets out there. Last but not least, we also write books. As you see it, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, How to Make America Utopia, are 2 of the many books that I've written on these issues. So please support us in one of many ways. Numero uno, you can support us at PayPal, either one time or monthly. Go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us on Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. You can support us by becoming a part of our YouTube channel, going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, or you can support us in many other forms that you can find at politicsdoneright.com/support. Be sure to visit our store, politicsdoneright.com/store, and get our books at politicsdoneright.com/books.
All right, folks, thank you so kindly. Let's see. Lee Grant says, Egberto, I see you're trying to market PDR as some kind of bastion of truth. When will this start? Lee Grant, I tell you what, let's make a deal. And I promise you, I will be 100% honest. Please give me a lie that I have told or an untruth that I've told. Just, you're here all the time. Love you. Write it down and let's talk about it. Because, I want, you can go ahead and make a comment like that, right? But unlike what Democrats like to do is they make comments that they know are false. They just let it slide. I don't, because I understand that after this show is over, there are going to be thousands of folks that are going to look at the show, read the show, and they're going to see your comment. They're going to say, oh, so he lies. Oh, he lies. No, sir. Trump called neo-Nazis good people. That is not a lie. You and I listened to that together. He said there were good people on both sides, which means he said there were good people on the neo-Nazi side and there were good people on the left side. That's what he said. It came out of his mouth. All of those are marching with the tiki torches. Those are neo-Nazis. And he called some of those good people. Come on, Lee Grant. All right, let's see. Let's go back up let me go ahead and see. David Page, I'm also a fan, an old fan of this program. Ha ha. Well, thank you guys. Egberto Willis, God Made Me. I think I read that one already. Lee Grant says many Latinos have traditional values. The Dems becoming the uber tolerant party of drag. No. Look, please get off of that horse. Traditional values, I don't really know what it means, right? Because traditional values was something like the director of the FBI during the days of McCarthy, and he was a cross-dresser, just didn't do it in public, right? And we know people like to talk about Trump as traditional values, 3 or 4 baby mamas and grabbing women by their you-know-what. So come on. We see all the evangelical folks getting in trouble for messing with prostitutes, right? We just saw the one in Dallas who was on intimate conversations on the internet. So let's not talk about traditional values. So we don't judge. Or that's not true. We don't judge the way they judge. That's all. Bridge, laugh up, Daniel, Mr. Straight White Privileged Male that you are. Clueless. What did he say? Did I miss what he's David Ledoux says, Lee Grant, every time they're losing it becomes a messaging problem. Oh no, we're actually winning, sir. We're actually winning this time. David Page says Chris Hayes has an excellent program. I highly recommend it. I also recommend it. I don't think Chris Hayes get the kudos that he should get, even when in comparison with what's her name? I love her. Anyway, with the star at the station, Rachel Maddow. John Carter says 51% haven't been contacted. That is unconscionable for our party not reaching out. I know it is. Coming down, let's see, what time do we have? Because I want to get in, I'm going to have to just skim over the other 2 subjects. Latanya Hayes, welcome to the Politics Done Right. Democrats have a very poor messaging. They really need people in regular communities in their... That is a problem, Latanya. They have these... Look, when they talk about the Democratic leadership being elitist, that is true. Because they have all these elite people doing these stuff and they don't know how to talk to the grassroots. We have a lot of grassroots people just needing some money, and not even the kind of $10,000 and $15,000 that they pay some of these guys per month. You give us $15,000 for the whole campaign, we get quite a bit walkers out there. We feed them. They love what they're doing, and they want to volunteer. That's what it's all about. Peggy Lopez says when the Dems only think about a group of voters. When they are looking for their vote is indication the Dems are only looking for power. That is very true. And to the neoliberal Dems, that's all they want. That's why, remember, when Obama came into power, how quickly did they dissipate Obama for America? And then when he was coming back into power, going for re-election, OFA then became, what is it? Obama for America was the first thing, and I don't remember what they called it after that. All right, Ronnie Escobar, can I comment? You can comment anytime you want, Mr. Escobar. I will see your comment inside of this program. So if you have a comment, please go ahead and say it. Ronnie Escobar. Let's see. What else we got here? Bridge says homosexuality is widespread in nature. Same-sex sexual behavior is well documented in non-human animals far beyond that. I'll let them read that, but it's true. I read that. Ready for all you leftists, you might be about to get it. New York Post, Zach's yanked off air after accusing us of sabotaging Nord Stream. What? I don't know what that means. All right, Lee Grant says Trump called neo-Nazis good people. Oh, I did that one already. All right. Latanya, absolutely. Sharkula Hairstyle says Egberto rules. Thank you so kindly, my beautiful Sharkulas. Mike Cisak says, Egberto, how do you think terms like socialist, liberal, progressive, leftist, and fascist got bad raps? I don't know. I think it was a calculated effort by the Powell Manifesto. If you doubt it, read it. Because remember, before the Powell Manifesto, and we just had the red scare from McCarthy. I thought we had cleaned that up to some extent, just leaving the wackos to think otherwise, but it it wasn't so. Okay, let's see. I only have 3 minutes to touch on these subjects real quickly. So you guys can read it on your own. But a Fed study to get wages down, right? Studies show CEO pay has soared by 1,400%, okay, since 1978. An analyst published Tuesday shows that the top executives of the largest corporations in the United States have seen their pay soar by more than 1,500% over the past 43 years, helping to fuel a massive surge in inequality as workers' wages lag. All right? Now, I want to just say this real quickly. Remember, inflation and high interest rates are there to stop the middle class and the poor from spending as much, and in the process of doing that, it increases the profit margins of those thugs, the executives who run our economics. That's numero uno, number one. Number two, inflation, when there are no shortages, is nothing more than legal theft. That is why you were paying $5 a gallon for gasoline, but you never had a dry pump, which says there was never a shortage. Supply met demand just fine. There were no reasons at all. And since consumption did not go up, our consumption did not go down substantially, it proved the point. It was legal fraud. All right, next subject. $158,000 costs for the ALS drug. Thank you very much for that, Lee Grant. $158,000 for the new ALS drug. But here's a kicker on this. They didn't have to do a lot of research on this drug because it is a combination of two drugs that have been on the market for decades or for a long time. And they decided, after testing and showing maybe some positive results, that it will cost a person with ALS, somebody trying to live, $158,000 per year. And then they says insurance company is going to absorb it. That's bull. We pay the insurance company a stipend to protect us against having to pay high prices. But if you have a drug costing $158,000, then they are taking that money out of all of our pockets, whichever insurance company you have. We can't allow that, folks. We just can't allow that. It's time for Medicare. It's time for health care for all. Egberto Willies, in the Mar-a-Lago case, Donald Trump told one of his lawyers to pass along false information. I saw that. John Carter says, and who financed that research? I'll bet it's Uncle Sugar money there. Of course it is, Carter. It's always that we always fund these researches starting in universities, and when it seems sort of viable, they buy up and patent it. That's how it works. That's how it works. Anyway, it's 4 o'clock and time for me to go. If I missed your point or didn't get a chance to talk to you, come back tomorrow. Same place, same time. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I'm going to end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to hear your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, like mainstream media, behold corporations, we own allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBRTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.